Every morning, a little girl would stand by the window and call out, Kabuliwala! Oh, Kabuliwala! In a quiet street of Calcutta lived a 5-year-old girl named Minnie. Minnie was restless, talkative, and full of questions. Questions that never seemed to end. Minnie's father, a writer, would often sit at his desk trying to concentrate and work, but Minnie would interrupt him constantly. Baba, where does the rain come from? Baba, is Ram Dayal a crow? Her words flowed endlessly, like a river that refused to stop. One day, as she stood by the window, Minnie saw a tall man walking down the street. He wore loose clothes, carried a large bag on his back, and had a calm, distant look in his eyes. Minnie shouted, Kabuliwala! Oh, Kabuliwala! The man turned and smiled. He was a fruit seller from Afghanistan, and his name was Rahman. At first, Minnie was afraid of Rahman's big bag. She whispered to her father, Baba, what if he has little children inside the bag? But soon this fear turned into friendship. Each day, the Kabuliwala would visit Minnie. He would bring her dry fruits, almonds, raisins, and sometimes just a smile. And they would talk. Minnie would ask, Will you go to your in-laws' house? And the Kabuliwala would laugh and reply, Yes, I will go there and beat my father-in-law. Minnie would burst into laughter. Their conversations were simple, almost meaningless to others, but to the two of them, that meant everything. But not everyone trusted the Kabuliwala. Minnie's mother would worry. These people you never know, she said. What if he takes her away? Her fear stayed, but the friendship between the Kabuliwala and Minnie continued. One morning, there was noise in the street. People had gathered. The Kabuliwala had been arrested. What had he done? He had stabbed a man during a quarrel over money. And as Kabuliwala was being taken away, Minnie ran to him and called out, Kabuliwala, oh Kabuliwala. For a moment, his face lit up. But that day, he had no bag, no dry fruits, and no smile. Kabuliwala was sentenced to prison, and just like that, he disappeared from her life. Years passed. Minnie grew up. Her endless questions faded into silence because her world changed. And this was the day of Minnie's wedding. Yes, the house was filled with light, music, and celebration. Minnie's father sat quietly, watching everything. And then suddenly, a man appeared at their door. Older, weaker, but with the same eyes. Who was this man? It was the Kabuliwala. He had just been released from the prison. He asked softly, Can I see Minnie? At first, her father hesitated because this was the day of rituals, guests, and status. But something in the man's voice made him pause, and that is when Minnie was called from inside. She came, dressed as a bride, silent and composed. The Kabuliwala looked at this girl, confused. This was not the little girl he knew. He smiled faintly and asked, Will you go to your in-laws' house now? Minnie lowered her eyes and said nothing. There was no laughter and no more questions. Time had done what prison could not. It had taken away the child he remembered. The Kabuliwala slowly reached into his pocket and took out a small piece of paper. On this paper was the handprint of a little girl. Who? His own daughter, left behind in Afghanistan. And in that moment, Minnie's father understood everything. This was not just a fruit seller, this was a father who had lost years of his child's life, just like him. Quietly, Minnie's father took out some money and gave it to the Kabuliwala. Go back to your daughter, he said. That day, he reduced the wedding expenses but gave a father the chance to return home. And as the Kabuliwala walked away, there was no noise or drama, just a quiet understanding that love speaks the same language everywhere. Wow! This is the classic story of Kabuliwala, written by none other than Rabindranath Tagore. It was first published in the year 1892. This story goes beyond a simple tale. It reveals the universality of human love. Through Minnie and the Kabuliwala, Tagore dissolves the boundaries of nations and identity. Right? Kabuliwala is not just a foreigner, but a father, mirroring Minnie's own father. And in this recognition, the story shifts from distance to deep empathy. Tagore reminds us that even brief connections can carry lasting emotional truth. Yay! Follow Tell a Tale with Heena for more. Bye bye.